42 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room there on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. I've said this over and over again for hundreds of days. Um, so it's important. So it's important because he was forcibly removed from his barracks room. Okay, and this is a chain of command order. This is a code red, and brought down to his arms room that was down in the basement, and they took his life. They took his life for being a whistleblower, and they stole his body off of Fort Bliss, and they trafficked it to Juarez, Mexico. They internationally trafficked his body, and evidence indicates that they harvested his organs, they profited off of his body, and they disposed of the rest of him at Plenitude Crematorium. So here we are, fighting like hell to get our son's remains, his partial remains, and to hold those that did this, that are part of this, uh, absolutely held accountable. And we have been in the process of making lists for our case for to file. When you have a case like Richard's, um, there is no statute of limitations. Some parts of it there are. Some don't have any statute of limitations. We've been very patient, and we've given many, many people lots of time and notices, because I don't think that people understand that what we've done. We have absolutely everything we say, just about everything we say, we have filed. Okay, we have investigated, and then we have documented, identified the crimes, documented the crimes, and then we have filed the crimes. And that's why, for so many people, um, this seems to have taken a long time. But really, we've done incredible things in a very short amount of time. Uh, really incredible things, because look at what we have had to um, investigate, and um, it's so much. It's so much, right? We've had to investigate so much, and I just want to make sure that I'm on. It doesn't look like that I'm on. Let's see. I want to make sure. Okay, it looks like I'm live on there. Okay. I don't know why the Facebook. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Documented, identified. Sometimes it glitches a little. Thank you, Laura, for coming on. Thank you. Okay, I see you now. So, sometimes, it seems like a long time, and it has seemed like a long time, but what we're up against, what we've had to investigate, what we've had to document, what we've had to file, is just enormous. And so we've done this in speedy amount of time. We're working very, very hard. I can tell you that, very, very hard. And through that time, we've also had to earn the people's respect and trust. We've had to do that. And of course, we're held to a very different a very different level than these criminals, right? These criminals, they get passes. And I think that Candace Owens today, in her fourth installment of Charlie Kirk's Bride, right? Uh, she really hammers that away that these criminals, these privileged criminals, uh, they absolutely live outside of the law. They get a pass. They get soft gloves. Um, and and that's in Richard's case is the same thing. Um, but when it comes to Team Farm Richard Halliday, and you saw that today, I think today was a very good example of that. Um, I posted up an AI generated image of the truck with a lot of weapons in there. My mother liked that one. My mother liked that one. So I thought, okay, I'm going to post that one up because it was so shocking to see a humongous truck, right? And full of weapons, right? And sometimes we have to understand that the weapons smuggling is not just, let me hide a couple weapons underneath my car cushion, right? It's much bigger than that. And in order for, is that like a 16 wheeler? Is that what that was? Um, to have that huge truck, and let's put it up. Let's put it up. See if it comes. It's in my comments. That's our beautiful son there. Beautiful, a hero, absolutely a hero. Okay, so in the pictures, maybe it's in the pictures. I think it's in the comments. This truck. This is the AI generated um picture that, was like, wow, wow. And then they hold us to like this, prove it, give us all the documents, without even realize we have been giving out the documents for years, and we have been filing everything we say. How many people file and file and file like we do? I don't know of too many that file and file and file like we do, investigate, you know, uh, document, and have to do all of the grammar for whatever it is. If it's a state bar that gets faxed, and it has to be a certain format. And then if you're doing a criminal complaint, if you're doing an open records request, if you're, all of these things, um, uh, have different formats and different platforms, and have different connecting, through email, through mail, through fax, through online, and you have to absolutely do research just in that. And so our email list is incredible. It is absolutely incredible. And our know how, in order to document all of this and file it all, is just incredible. And we are working very, very fast now. Like at the beginning, it would take us like a whole week to get in one filing. Now we can get in many, many filings a day. And so we have been notifying many different people to give them chances. We have given them years, really years, to do the right thing. And so now, it's kind of like what President Trump has said with Iran. We have given you many years, to do the right thing. Now, do I believe that this is about this Iran thing? This is okay. I'm going down a little side road here, but do I believe that this is about nuclear weapons? I don't, because I have a hard time even believing in nuclear weapons, okay? Like, you have nuclear weapons, okay? But the when you look at Chernobyl, when you look at Fukushima, when you look at, what is really going on here. You can have powerful bombs, you can have powerful things, but they lie to us about everything, everything. Um, that I just think, you know, I don't have to believe them when they say this kind of stuff, when they fearmonger. I didn't, and, I might be wrong about that, about this, but I don't believe it's about these nuclear bombs. Okay. I believe it is about the trafficking. I believe it's about fuel trafficking. I believe it's about protecting our sovereignty because our sovereignty had been breached in our military, in our court systems, in our Congress, and we were losing control of our country, and we were losing it to the cartels that had alliances with different countries, and with this El Paso Mormon faction cartel. So that's what I believe. I believe it's absolutely a something so different than what we're being told. Okay, that's what I believe, and it is interesting, and there's a lot of evidence out there that supporting evidence, corroborating evidence that there was something in El Mencho's lair, in his logbooks, um, in his documents, that made President Trump make some final decisions to conduct this whole Iranian um, war that we're in right now. So, yeah, so I wanted to really, so I'll get out of that. And the reason why I felt it necessary to even tell you our opinion on that is because remember, in 2020 and 2021, they fearmongered us and made us wear, well, I didn't wear a mask, but they just, you can't go visit your grandparents, you can't visit your grandchildren, you can't visit your loving relative in the hospital. You have to stand 6 feet apart while Command Sergeant Major Jake Jakovitz was laughing when we met with him in 2020 with Brigadier at that time Brigadier General Stewart. Um, Command Sergeant Major told us to our face that they were bringing in these young girls into the barracks during the lockdown to party. And we were told because we were on the streets, we were, doing the rallies. We were doing 4 to 6 rallies a week while we were living in El Paso. And we were told on the street that this was just, I mean, these were uh, mules, right? These young girls were mules. And they would bring in a bunch of drugs, and that they were there to also compromise the soldiers, okay, to put them in very compromising positions and to film it, and that these videos would be airdropped to people's phones, and everybody then would keep their mouth shut when they saw weapons, truckloads of weapons being smuggled out, or other equipment, or all the children, because later on in March of 2021, I mean, it went on before this. Oh, sorry, I got an itch on my nose. Um, because it's what, almost 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. But that, there was a lot of crimes against children. We know that for a fact. And because of Leilani Hart's affidavit, That is a really important document in this case because it's a huge confession of the worst type of crimes against children and also of Dallas Hart in the most vile and vulgar activities with his father and brother. And against children, and against children. So, this is important because it just shows you the 3 months that we went through that his group was um, texting us the most vile and vulgar information, really vile and vulgar insight into their minds, which they are absolutely demonic, and really gave us a picture of what Richard went through, and anyone that would speak up, anybody, are they willing to do harm? 100%. They threatened us, and they've been after us for years, everything that we went through. And do they have access? They have access to medical access to our entire lives. They have access to our entire lives. And so this proves the other corroborating information that we got that confirmed that the El Paso Mormon faction cartel had made an alliance with the Mexican cartel to give them access to our databases, to our intelligence databases. Would this include the VA databases, our medical databases, um, narco cases? Absolutely. And another thing that I want to address, because I'm just doing this by heart, is this claim that the CIA is in on this, right? And I want to say, yes, we believe that the CIA is in on all of this. The CIA is the one that received El Mencho's documents and his ledgers, and absolutely gave them to El Universal, right? To share. And these were only some of the documents and parts of the ledger. And so that absolutely, this is the thing about Iran Contra that everyone should understand is that that was about CIA being involved in with the cartel, that the CIA was involved with the cartel, making money with the cartel, and then giving that money, using that for the Contras, okay, be it weapons or money or whatever. And the problem is that the cartel uh, wanted to keep that the money didn't go to the Contras like it was intended to go to, and that this was all without the Congress's notification and everything. Um, so absolutely, um, this is a CIA operation. Everything around, I mean, everything is, it's a big deal. The CIA is a big deal. And so I just wanted to say, yes, we are totally aware of that. We are aware that our weapons were being smuggled, that we have infiltrators in our government that are traitors, that have come up through through the border in order to infiltrate, in order to do us harm in the United States, which, if the United States goes the wrong way, then it hurts Mexico and it hurts Canada. And living in Ireland, it hurts Europe. It really hurts Ireland when the United States doesn't do well. And so, this was absolutely attack on the world. This is crimes against humanity. And this is still ongoing. And a truck this size, being filled with weapons confirms to everybody that there is an El Paso Mormon faction cartel leadership in higher places that is still ongoing, that is still controlling parts of our government. And we know that the courthouse, the DA's office are absolutely infiltrated with cartel operatives, eh, eh, part of the Mormon faction El Paso cartel, or in alliance with the Mormon faction El Paso cartel. So and so the battle is still ongoing. The good point about this is that this truck did get caught. Now, it is another indication that there was so much corruption that the driver of the truck threatened the border guards, right? Threatened them with, you better not mess with me because the cartel's going to come and get the shipment. Okay. Like you have no power. They don't want Mexico because this is in Mexico, because it got caught as it went over the Mexican border from El Paso. Um, but they don't want Mexico to be sovereign, right? And be a legitimate government. And they don't want the United States to be sovereign and a legitimate government. They just want rogue cartels that are brutal, vile, and vulgar, flesh eating, flesh peddling, um, and when I say flesh, I mean human flesh. I don't mean like a good steak. No, I'm talking about human flesh. Um, that they don't want that. They want a very evil world. They just want women to and children to be treated the worst way, and even men to have to step in the right places and or the right way, right? March the right way, otherwise fear for their life, and let their families be exploited and everything. I mean, really. So we have and they did this by taking over government agencies, right? So this is Dallas Hart, okay? He was Richard's platoon leader, and his mother confessed and said that he was engaging in the worst type of videos of child torture, that he was in possession of these videos. Also, the worst type of crimes against our activities between father brother, and also the worst type of crimes against children, and that there were illegal weapons involved in this, and that even her immigration status was problematic. So this is the arms room. This is the seal on the arms room. It's really filthy. There's no pride. And you can tell by the comments by some of these soldiers, and I've lived around soldiers all my life, with my dad and with my father-in-law and with my brother-in-law and with my own husband, and I have never, I mean, they I don't think they even know how they sound. These comments. There's no pride. There's no concept on what it takes to really be effectual as a military. When you show disrespect, and they're, even laughing at me for caring about this, thinking, oh, I don't have my son's body, but I'm caring about the guidon. It is because of the lack of respect for the guidon that our son's life was taken. Okay, because what that shows is no respect for your oath, no respect for the countrymen, no respect for your unit, uh, and um, they just laugh at the guide and the guide on. That was such a source of pride for Richard because he has patriotism, because he wants the best for our country. He wants the best for his unit. He wants the best for the army, and so he uh, really told his grandfather, we call him Opie, his concerns with how the guidon was even hidden. Sometimes they would play pranks with it. They were so disrespectful to the unit guide, the unit guidon and guide. And this is supposed to be held up very high to lead the unit. So they were disrespecting the lead of the unit to go forward, right? Because they all just want to go to hell, right? They just want everything to go to hell. And so they have no respect for the future movement forward of the unit. And yeah, so my dad really, because of him being a senior NCO, he really taught me about um, being very respectful to the guide and the guide on. And the guide on um, had a special spot in the orderly room, okay, because the orderly room was the central hub for the unit. And that was an honored spot for the guide on. And whoever carried the guide on had to be a top notch unit member and a very fast runner because they had to be able to run with the guide on. So, a fast runner, Richard was the fastest runner in his unit. And then you had to be a top notch soldier in order to honor that guide on. And you can tell that the leadership has been really taken into the dumps um, when they don't teach that to the soul. And, I've been around enough young soldiers and, of course, speaking to so many of them. And one comes to mind is Asia Graham. Asia Graham, who also lost her life and because of all of the shenanigans and disrespect and the lack of security and everything, lack of leadership, the failure of leadership. Um, but the video of her when she joined the military was so it just sticks in my brain. She was so excited. She was so it's like watching pictures of Richard when he came out of basic training as distinguished honor graduate. So excited, so ready to serve, and aspire to greatness. And when I watched the Asia Graham video of her, and to know what really happened to her in the failure of leadership, I can tell you this: the young soldiers, they're ready. They are ready to have good leadership and to show respect for the guide on, and to work hard to be a guide. And but they belittle the guide and the guide on, and it's just the most disgusting thing because then what do they do with the American flag? And I know I'm spending a lot of time on this because it's just that important, because it leads to so many deaths if you have failure in leadership that don't teach you any kind of honor and respect. So this is the crime scene, and you can see it's disgusting, and an illegal order was given by Major General James Eisenhower to, at any expense, and to not follow the protocol at all. They needed to just find somebody for a lot of money to renovate this room, this crime scene. And this is the security seal that was on the door. And so that That's an amazing thing. This is a letter, and you can go through it and read it, but this is a letter from Lalani to the authorities about the fraud that her husband committed while he was in the VA's office as the IDS Pueblo officer, doing disability benefits to for the veterans, and the fraud that he has committed. It is, you've got to read it. You got to read it. It's just incredible. So, yeah, this is, let's get out of here and let's talk about this. This post here is about um, Julio Cordero. Julio Cordero, who lost his life in August of 2024 at the Franklin High School because Anthony Acuna, the El Paso ISD um, police officer. And we got breaking news on that, and I forgot to tell you breaking news that they want to end, what do you call it? To end the El Paso ISD police department. They just want to, after Manny Chavira, had to resign. Um, Retire. They say retire, but the pressure was. They want to altogether get rid of the El Paso ISD police department. And you know what that means? They want to get rid of all of the cases, all of the records. That's what they want to do. And then they want to give it to a private security firm, which we know are so dirty, right? We know that they are so dirty. And this is what happened to the CID after Vanessa Guillen and after Richard. They took power away from CID and gave it to a private, civilian, see Mr. Ford, who is so dirty, y'all. He's so dirty. So, and then they can, get rid of case files and things like that. So, just to let you know, do not fall for their trick about saying, oh, yeah, we need to just disband the El Paso ISD. Okay. No, ISD police department. No, not until there's accountability. Not until there is accountability for that dirty, dirty police department, and demonic police department. I will say that it's demonic. Um, so that's breaking news. And of course, Anthony Acuna was the officer that, without any warning, um, shot his gun into the dark, into the dark at a school, Franklin High School, putting so many children at risk and shooting and killing. Two shots hit um, Julio Cordero and one a fatal shot to the head. So that's why he had to have closed casket. So this is, it was just so disgusting. But we have breaking news with this today because we have confirmation that it was Dallas Hart's criminal group that tampered with Julio Cordero's crime scene, with the crime scene of that case. That is huge. That is huge. And I can't stress it enough. So please share this post and really get that message out because Julio Cordero was the legendary, most decorated FBI agent in El Paso history. He is the one that did Poisoned Ponds 1.0, the original Poison Pond that ended up in a raid into the El Paso County courthouse, right? Where they were so corrupted, as is today. And over 40 officials were arrested, and some were ISD. Um, and I posted some of those names, but you can research that. So he was really a threat to El Paso. And we have breaking news again. Not only Do we know that it was Dallas Hart's criminal group that tampered with Julio Cordero's crime scene? But that also Julio Cordero um, was in pursuit of two targets that were on his list, two El Paso businessmen, philanthropists, okay? Two El Paso businessmen, philanthropists. This is, philanthropist number one and philanthropist number two, and that he absolutely identified it before he lost his life, and that we know who they are. And who do you think they are, right? Who do you think they are? You can put that in the comments, right? Who you think they are. But yeah, so this is huge news. The other part of the huge news, and I don't want to lose my train of thought, because it is getting very very early in the morning. But there's no time to sleep. There is no time to sleep. This is so important. Um, so Julio Cordero also, uh, when Richard, and I haven't formulated this, so please bear with me. But Richard, we had been doing so much work and filing and had so much evidence, and it drove the Army Board of Inquiry to designate Richard deceased on April 24, 2024. When that happened, and to declare the murder on Fort Bliss. Okay? So that paperwork is, I would put it at a higher level than the in the line of duty. The in the line of duty is a supplement to the April 24th, 2024 declaration of death on Fort Bliss. That that was just jaw dropping. And many of the suspects were screaming that night. Okay. Were screaming that night. They were gnawing their teeth. Um, Julio Cordero now, our sources have told us, was very moved and alarmed by that news because he knew that the Walmart mass shooting was the crime scene was not handled properly and was staged. He knew that, and he knew that Patrick Crucius, with all of his uh, m- mental disabilities and and everything he knew because he's an FBI agent, that he said he could no way conduct the Walmart mass shooting by himself. That was an organized group, and the lone wolf narrative was false. And that means the narrative against President Trump was false, and that this was political and this was used to tamper with the election, right? To support Beto O'Rourke. And that's why Beto O'Rourke's hands is all over that, right? And all over Jeffrey Epstein's Zorro Ranch and all of that too. Absolutely, absolutely. So, oh gosh, there's so much proof out there now, right? There's so much evidence, hard evidence. So he was Julio Cordero was very shocked and moved by the declaration. And of course, we were absolutely telling everybody that Richard's case was intertwined with the Walmart mass shooting case. And we have been told that his pursuit for philanthropist one and philanthropist two was in response to, because from what he knew in his investigations, he felt they were involved in what happened to our son. And so he was investigating further and wanted to target those two targets. Um, that's what the FBI called them, targets. These two targets, suspected individuals, these philanthropists, philanthropist one, philanthropist two, El Paso businessmen, um, that they were absolutely involved in what happened to Richard. And he's right. He was right. And in August of 2024, so that happened at the end of April, April 24th, 2024. And by August, um, Julio lost his life. So, and April, um, yeah. And I think that is really very, very important for the timeline for everyone to understand. So that is really breaking news. So that's why we're really focusing on Julio Cordero, because they need to release the body cam footage that Anthony Acuna was wearing. They need to release that. We all need to see it, and we need to see it yesterday. So that's important. This is, going around all these pictures, and but we know that there is absolutely a connection to the people surrounding the Charlie Kirk's case and the El Paso um, faction cartel, the Mormon faction cartel, in El Paso. We know they are connected. They're very, very connected, and through all kinds of ways, And so this is not an isolated case. This is all intertwined. So that's um, why we posted that up for people to understand. Um, and the question here was, are you connecting Erica Kirk to Charlie's death? She's already connected to Charlie's death, right? She's his wife. She's very connected to his death. I mean, she should be questioned left and right, left and right, left and right, because she has tons of information that she could give to the investigation. Right? Why are they handling her with soft gloves? They can be really respectful, but they need to absolutely ask her questions. And at this point, with all of the lies that have been discovered, they really do. They really do. They really need to question her. So I think that is a foolish question there. Of course, she's already connected. She was there, right? So, yeah, it's really strange. Some of this. What else did I post to make sure that I go through everything before I start on what I want to talk about? Um, and that is the Mormon faction mind. I really want to take a little time out to tell you why we're going in this direction for the investigation. And it absolutely has to do with what Candace Owens is doing in the Charlie Kirk case. She is really delving into the minds of these people. I don't know if the minds of these people, but the background, and because we've been doing this for so long, right? Sometimes I talk to the TV tour and I say, well, because they don't think the way we do. They don't. They think a different way. This Mormon faction think a different way, and you have to go into their mind to understand why they do the things they do. And I think that I'm not any expert, just from the five over, going on 6 years of investigating every day, day in and day out. And at the beginning, saying this is a common denominator, that the people involved in this are Mormons and are in the funeral business and in the security business. Um, they have a common denominator. And that needs to be questioned. And people just in the authority that we talked to were just dismissing it. And we thought that was very, very strange, because that's how you operate a or conduct an investigation. You find these common denominators and connect these people and their networks and their pipelines and everything like that. And of course, we found out about the Mayellas in the Walmart mass shooting case, which, is huge. This Mayella family being in the DA's office, in the FBI's office, in the federal El Paso courthouse during the case, and even in Walmart cybersecurity, who handle all of the CCTV footage cameras and stuff. I mean, this was really a big deal, right? And I don't see any media really reporting on it, and it's huge. Not only is Patrick Crucius's family, the Mayella family, but his father from Allen, Texas, where the security company is for Dan Flood, which was Charlie Kirk's security, failed security, is also out of Allen, Texas. And Allen, Texas is a hub, an absolute hub. And that Patrick Crucius's father was a disciple of John of God, right? That he was learning from these disciples of John of God, and he has made videos on that, and he was absolutely into, like, I would say, things that were like this whole transhumanist research that Jeffrey Epstein was doing up in Santa Fe in the laboratory. And so, the mind of the Mormon faction, I believe, because of all the evidence we have, is really this whole transhumanism. This transhumanism that they have to um, rise up, and I have some here. Um, that they want, it's called exaltation, right? Exaltation. And they normally they would do exaltation through marriage and children. And I know there are divisions in the whole Mormon group. I'm talking about the Mormon faction, okay? The Mormon faction. This exaltation where they would marry many, many wives and have many, many children. And but now they're adding to it. They're adding, or they are trying to multiply their exaltation in a digital way, okay? Digitally, okay? Or through illegal ways, like John of God did. You know, have all these women, all these children, and you know, um, and it doesn't say what to do with the children. So here they are profiting and selling them for adoption, and it's just crazy. But that's this mind is like about numbers. The mind is on the numbers of wives and numbers of children. And I'm all for children, right? I'm all for children, but they are not on, their minds are not on the children. It's on the numbers of children, right? And so everything is about numbers and quantity for them. And it's so it's very external, right? It's very external concerns. Um, which shows you it really produces greed, doesn't it? Greed, 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 greed for numbers, for exaltation, to reach the celestial heavens so that one day you get a planet. You get your own planet. And, I'm just like, oh man, no wonder they love NASA so much, right? No wonder NASA gets so much funding. They have to try to control all of these people trying to reach exaltation, right? It's like NASA is like their super temple, you know? It's, it is wow. It is, and I have a lot of thoughts with that. But, so numbers are really important to them. And to get the most numbers, when you look at transhumanism, it looks like that was their solution, that they could digitally multiply, digitally multiply and get to that planet quicker, get to and I don't, I hate to make fun of faiths and all of that, but in this case the level of evil is so demonic, is so is hell. It's hell on earth. And instead of thinking that they're being searching for exaltation, they're really digging their own hole down to hell. And they have these like marriages that are like eternal marriages with these sister wives. And so, of course, um, and Erica Kirk's family life, it's come up where, oh, are there sister wives? Because where are the divorces? Where are it's just really weird how the paperwork doesn't jive. And there seems to be like, okay, sister wives, and maybe sister wives will raise other sister wives' children for them and all of that. They have a different family structure. They have a different thinking, and that thinking leads to hell. The thinking leads to uh, a desecration of human life, right? There's no exaltation, right? It's a degeneration, a degenerate um, pursuit. And so this transhumanism absolutely fits in to uh, answer their problems, of, wanting to hurry up and what they believe. But it really is a scam. It really is a scam because that's, and of course, this is my faith. That's not what God wants at all, because He wants beauty and glory, beauty and glory. And there's nothing beautiful and glorious about their lives. Nothing. It is, they'll take pretty pictures, right? I guess that I can give them that. They'll take pretty pictures. But let me tell you, behind that picture, it is really hellish, hellish. And I think Lilani Hart's family is a good example of that hell. And that's why this matters, because of Samoa, right? Samoa is mostly um, Mormon faction, and it's pretty hellish, and they're known for it. So yeah, and we have to, I never even would have looked into it if it wasn't for um, trying to figure out why would they do this? Why would they do this? Richard was a great guy. He's a hero. Why wouldn't they say, oh, yeah, we can't do that to children? Oh, yeah, we can't smuggle weapons. Oh, yeah, we can't siphon fuel. We can't steal. We can't cheat. We can't, we need to um, have um, an army that we can be proud of. But that's not the way they addressed him. He absolutely they turned into monsters. And how do I know that? Because they turned into monsters to us. And they absolutely went into attack dog motion, action. And they did that to Judge Roger Rodriguez. They did that to Glennon Oakley Jr. We saw it on video. Um, and so many more. To Asia Graham. They put the perpetrator right next to her in the barracks. And whoever came up with the idea of co-ed barracks, that is a person up to no good. Up to no good. Are they do they believe in like, oh, maybe that should be exaltation or something? No, that's hell. And so many have gotten hurt because of that stupid. And I hope President Trump gets rid of that. Whoever made barracks as co-ed needs her head examined. Really, it's just terrible. And yeah, so this mind of is kind of like leads to a sex cult. And then it gets even worse with all the transhumanism, which is, why they were this Mormon faction, El Paso cartel, why they were the protective racket, the protection racket for the pipeline, the Jeffrey Epstein pipeline, that is still, they're still trafficking. They're still trafficking. And you see the problems down in Brazil, and you see people getting in trouble in the Dominican Republic, yeah, for selling visas, fraudulent visas. So they still are doing um, their dirty deeds. And that's why your sharing means a lot. Your liking means a lot, because with the success of our sites and our posts going, because we don't monetize, y'all. We don't monetize, going everywhere. Um, eh, that will make our filings more successful. So because with everything we're filing all the time. That's why I have to come on so late, because we're so busy um, trying to get that done. Um, while we're fresh and then and I'm sorry sometimes it gets really late, but it can't be helped. So let me go through the questions. And oh, uh I think I covered that. Oh, the wanted to make sure that I tell everyone that we're collecting the names for the time has passed. The time has passed uh, to come forward. I mean, maybe you gotta, maybe, but the time is really over, and we have assembled the names that we're going to take to court. So we wanted to put that out there. And the other thing we wanted to do is, um, and I lost my train of thought. Make sure that okay, well, when I answer the questions, it'll come back to me. Okay. Laura, thank you so much. And thank you for putting everything in Spanish. That is so, so good of you. Um, thank you. And thank you for your prayers. That is so wonderful. God bless you for this. It's amazing. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, the philanthropist. Oh, you're so smart. You're so smart. The philanthropist. Yes. Okay. There's two of them, though. There's two. Mm-hmm. Um, yeah. Okay. So thank you so much, Laura, and everybody for coming on. And please share. And I will be back tomorrow. God bless you. Bye bye.